Hey guys, my name is Chris if you didn't already know, and welcome to my show, SmegChris Review. And I've decided this time around to just go straight into talking about the film that I watched. Mainly because I don't really have anything else to talk about. Oh well. And the film in question, well, I'm sure you've already seen it. I know a lot of people have seen it. Deadpool and Wolverine. Can't believe it's really been 6 years since Deadpool 2. It feels like only a few years ago. And even more unfathomable is the fact that we haven't seen Wolverine in 7 years. So when this movie was announced, we were like, awesome! I remember last year when they put this clip on YouTube where Ryan Reynolds is sat on the sofa and Hugh Jackman's walking behind him and he's asking him, does he want to play Wolverine one last time? And he's like, yeah, sure, why not? Everybody was like, what? That's awesome! And of course, like me and many others, in the back of our minds were like, is this a good idea? And the answer is yes, because Deadpool and Wolverine is absolutely a fantastic movie. The whole title sequence at the beginning, absolutely brilliant. And of course, in true Deadpool tradition, we backtracked a little to find out why Deadpool was in this situation where he was up against all these TVA agents. We find out that Deadpool's been contacted by the TVA and they try to recruit him for this mission, a mission that he doesn't like the sound of, and so he goes off on his own mission. And that includes finding Wolverine. And so of course we go back to where the beginning of the movie starts and he's trying to dig up Logan only to find that he's actually still dead. So he has to go off into all these alternate universes to try and find another Wolverine. And that montage is hilarious. And of course eventually he does find a Wolverine and the dynamic between the two is just fantastic. Now as the movie goes along, you're really enjoying the ride as it goes. But it's the second half of the movie that it really shines. Now I don't want to give too many spoilers away, but we start seeing characters from past movies and that just blew my mind. I already knew of one though, because thanks to TikTok, spoilers, one of the things I hate about TikTok, but some of them I didn't even know they were bringing back and I was just like, what the heck? There's two characters that I absolutely love that return. One of them gets offed and I found that very disappointing. That was one of the bad things of the film. They killed off a character that I love. So we'll pull that as a mark against the film. I don't know what this is. Me drawing a line across? I don't know. But there are so many scenes in this film that are just epic. My favourite scene though had to be where Wolverine and Deadpool come out in slow motion and they're facing a lot of other characters and they have to go down the street fighting them. Epic. Just epic. And that's after another brilliant fight scene that happened a little bit earlier on with all the characters that have been brought back from the past that I'm not going to mention because I don't want to spoil it, even though you've probably already seen it. So of course, if you have, then you know who I'm talking about. Honestly, throughout the entire film I had this huge grin on my face. And I'm not much of a Marvel fan, but this Marvel film, I'm going to say it again, is epic. I loved all the cameos that they had in there, and I mean all of them. Like the other Wolverine that showed up, only for like a brief moment. Oh, so brilliant. But there are two things that annoyed me about the film. One, like I've already mentioned, one of my favourite characters from past Marvel movies was killed off. I wasn't happy about that. And two, you're expected to know who the TVA are. I mean, you might not have watched Loki or anything else to do with TVA, so how are you supposed to know who they are? And that's a fundamental problem I find with Marvel films, or TV series for that matter. You're expected to know who these characters are that show up out of the blue and you're like, who's that? Why are they important? Because apparently they were in another film somewhere along the line. And that's something that annoys me about Marvel. You're just expected to know everything already because they think you've seen all of their stuff. No, I've not seen Eternals or what was the other film? I honestly can't remember. That's how bad it is. Anyway, I digress. Back to Deadpool and Wolverine. I mean, the fight scenes that we had between Deadpool and Wolverine were crazy and hilarious and brilliant. And the fact that we got to see Wolverine in his proper original costume, wow. I mean, why on earth they shied away from having Wolverine in his original costume all these years is beyond me. I especially liked at the end where they had these clips from 20th Century Fox Marvel films paying homage to them, mainly because 20th Century Fox was one of the companies that kept Marvel alive in the early years. Because I don't know if you guys know this, but in the early 2000s Marvel declared bankruptcy, and so they had to sell some of their characters off to other companies. And also at the end of the movie there is another scene that is just hilarious, which featured the character that I loved who was killed off. So now you know who I'm talking about if you saw that. But overall the film is absolutely amazing, and apart from the two bad points that I mentioned, I'm giving Deadpool and Wolverine a... I know, you're probably thinking, no, it's a 10, it's a 10. It's because of those two bad points. Other than that, I would have given it a 10. I will say this, it's the best film I've seen this year so far. And there you go, that's my review of Deadpool and Wolverine. I just didn't want to give away spoilers, so in case there are some people out there who still have yet to see it, go see it. And with that being said, it's now time for me to go. So all that's left for me to say now is thank you for watching and subscribing if you have, and liking this video if you did. Until the next time, peace out. Going back to TikTok, there was actually a video that I saw on there that I actually agree with. In this film, the Wolverine that Deadpool finds, they class him as the worst Wolverine. And as it was pointed out in this TikTok video, they said that this is the worst Wolverine, which is not wrong. Because this was the origin of Wolverine. First off, we saw a different Sabretooth than we saw in X-Men. And also we get to see a different Deadpool. And when I started thinking about that, I'm like, that actually makes perfect sense. Because this Wolverine film is set in an alternate universe to the rest of the X-Men movies. And that was my way of thinking about it more. I'm like, yeah, he's totally right. Which leads me to believe that the last two X-Men movies were also in alternate universes. Because there was a character in X-Men 1, 2 and 3 who was killed off in the last X-Men movie while she was still young. Makes no sense. So I'm going on the basis that they're in an alternate universe. And also because they are CAG.